Hello, everybody. I'm back. It's your Menopause Taylor bringing you the state of menopause in the world today. And I'm bringing you also another podcast on menopause. You see, I'm just teaching you everything you need to know in order to manage your menopause your way. And I hope you are starting to realize that there's much more to your menopause management than finding a quick fix. And there are so many industries, professionals, and options that you really have to have this education to know what you're doing. So, in the recent podcasts, I've been teaching you about the healthcare system, how your medical insurance works, how your doctor works within the system, and population versus personal medicine. So, now you know that there's more to this menopause management business than just doctors. But there are actually all sorts of different professionals who serve as menopause managers. The problem is that most women have no idea as to the educational differences on menopause among these different professionals. And if you don't know what to expect from any given professional, you could completely fail in meeting your needs. So this podcast is going to cover how much education different professionals have on the subject of menopause. Now, I want to start by saying the obvious. Menopause is an area of severe neglect. In fact, menopause is the most neglected topic on planet Earth, despite the fact that half of the world's population will spend half of their lives in the state of menopause. It is the most neglected topic on Earth. How much did you know about it before you started listening to my podcast or watching my YouTube videos or discovering my education? How much do you and your friends talk about it? How comfortable are they when you talk about it? Have you noticed that there's an almost visceral reaction and visceral rejection of the topic of menopause the minute you mention it? Well, guess what? That rejection and neglect exists in every industry and among all professionals when it comes to menopause. The sad truth is that menopause is not a subject that many people study. You know, when I decided to make this menopause education available to women, I knew that I was taking on a huge uphill climb. Actually, I have two huge uphill climbs, and they are both really mountains, not hills. The second mountain, which is the lower of the two, is to get women to take advantage of the education. I mean, do something. Watch the webinars. Watch the DVD. Read my book. Watch the videos in order. Schedule a one-on-one consultation. Do something. But before I can even expect them to do any of those things, I have to make them aware of the fact that they need the education. And that is the most difficult of the two big mountains, raising awareness. I'm sure that if you've told your friends about my podcasts or my videos or anything that I have to offer, I'm going to bet that the majority of them have scoffed and exhibited that visceral rejection of the topic. Well, unfortunately, despite the fact that there are all sorts of professionals who function in the capacity of helping you manage your menopause, very few of them actually have any significant education on menopause. So I'm going to call all the different professionals who play any part whatsoever in helping you manage your menopause managers. They're all menopause managers. And today I'm going to tell you about their educational backgrounds on menopause. Included in the professionals are all of the following. First, you have medical doctors, but there are three groups of medical doctors. There are menopause specialists, gynecologists, and non-gynecologists. Then there are nurse practitioners, osteopaths, pharmacists, naturopaths, nutritionists and dieticians, herbalists, acupuncturists, and fitness instructors. That's a lot of people. Now, in my YouTube videos, a long time ago, I interviewed all these various professionals. If you go to the YouTube videos, those were videos 47 through 57. And in those videos, I let the professionals themselves tell you about their education and limitations. And then in videos 58 through 60, I summarize the philosophies of all those different professionals. But today in this podcast, what I'm going to do is be very specific about how much menopause education each one of those professionals has. And some of what I'm going to tell you will shock you. So let's start with medical doctors. And recently, a couple weeks ago, I did a podcast entitled Is Your Doctor a Hero or a Heretic? And I explained that there's hardly any education on menopause during medical school. The only doctors who get any real education on menopause are gynecologists who spend 4 more years after medical school studying women's health. And most gynecologists do not specialize or focus on menopause. Most find delivering babies and taking care of younger women much more interesting. And as a patient, once you're finished having your own children, you don't want to deal with the unpredictable schedule of a gynecologist who's running off to deliver babies just when it's time for your appointment. So many menopausal women use professionals other than their gynecologist as their menopause manager. They use general practitioners, family practitioners, and internists. The problem is that all of those professionals have only that 1 hour of menopause education from medical school. They know the basics. But menopause is not their thing, and they're certainly not experts on it. So if you're getting this education and you're using one of those non-gynecologist professionals, don't be a bit surprised if you know a whole lot more than they do. And that's fine for making you feel smart, but it's not fine when you have to depend on them to give you what you want, and they don't know enough to do so. I have gotten multiple comments from viewers on YouTube telling me about how they know more than their doctors. One viewer wanted one of the 2 estrogen vaginal rings, and she had learned the specifics of their differences by watching my videos. But she had a doctor who was unaware of the fact that there was a difference between the 2 estrogen vaginal rings. So she told him about my videos, and she wrote to me lamenting the fact that he was uninformed. But the very next day, he called her to tell her that she was right about the fact that there was a difference, and he gave her what she wanted. That doctor and many others are now watching my videos. So if you use a non-gynecologist MD for your menopause management, be prepared for a bumpy road or roadblocks in getting what you want. Even if you do go to a gynecologist, there are different levels of menopause education and interest among them. If at all possible, please use a menopause specialist. It shouldn't cost you any more than a regular gynecologist. The difference is that these are gynecologists who love menopause. They stay up to date on everything. They go to the menopause conventions, and they may even practice nothing but menopause management. And I have previously told you how to find a menopause specialist if you live in North America, but I'm going to repeat it here because I think people find that information really useful. The website is menopause.org. Go to menopause.org and click on the tab that says For Women. You'll get a drop-down menu, and you want to click on the menu item that says Find a Menopause Practitioner. And then all you do is put in your zip code. All the menopause specialists near you will pop up. That gives us our MDs. So we've only discussed the medical doctors thus far, and we have 3 different categories of medical doctors alone. You've got your gynecologic menopause specialist, the gynecologist, and the non-gynecologist. Only the gynecologic menopause specialists are true experts on menopause. Next best are the gynecologists, and the non-gynecologists know very little. The next professionals are nurse practitioners. Now, these are professionals who attended nursing school, not medical school, but they practice like doctors or sometimes with doctors, but more and more, they're practicing independently. Most of them are similar to general practitioners, family practitioners, and internists. In other words, most practice with a broad spectrum of medicine and no real interest in menopause. If they work with or as a menopause specialist, they'll know more about menopause. But don't assume that they do. Most of them don't. Next, you have osteopaths. Now, some osteopaths function exactly like medical doctors. And if they do, those will have the very same differences as all the medical doctors. Osteopaths who are generalists will have about 1 hour of education on menopause. Osteopaths who specialize in menopause will have a lot more. You see, when it comes to medical doctors, nurse practitioners, and osteopaths, the key is to know how much do they specialize in menopause. But you will find that it's a very small area of specialization. It's really quite sad, but it's very small. Now we have pharmacists. Now, pharmacists are not menopause managers. They actually aren't any kind of manager. They're pharmacists. They dispense medications as ordered by professionals with a medical license. Do not expect your pharmacist to be able to help you in managing your menopause. It is not their job, and they do not have the education to do it. Pharmacists do not learn the nuances of menopause itself at all. And they don't learn much about the differences between the hormone options. They often confuse estrogens that travel throughout your body with the ones that don't. Some of them don't even know that there are two categories. Some of these pharmacists don't know that some estrogens travel through your body and others don't. So do not make the mistake of substituting what your pharmacist tells you for what your doctor tells you. I'm actually in the process of creating an educational program specifically for pharmacists on menopause. And that way, in time, they will have the education they need to help you. What about naturopaths? Now, naturopaths are all about natural remedies. Much of their education focuses on nutrition. And while nutrition is extremely important for everything, nutrition alone will not suffice for managing your menopause. Every single day I get comments from women who are very careful with nutrition but are very miserable with menopause. So use your naturopath to focus on nutrition or natural remedies, but know that they have absolutely no education on menopause. It is just not a part of their curriculum at all. You are going to the wrong professional if you use your naturopath for anything having to do with your menopause. It's just wrong person. It's like asking your housekeeper to build you a house. It's wrong person. Two other professionals who focus on diet but have absolutely no education whatsoever on menopause are nutritionists and dietitians. Now, they can help you choose foods and count calories, and they're great at what they do. But they apply their general education to everything they do rather than any special menopause education. Menopause is not a subject in any nutrition or dietitian program. None of them know anything about menopause specifically. They may help you with it, but they don't know anything about it. I'm actually working on an educational program specifically for them too, so that they can better help you with the education that I provide. Because, all the professionals who help you need to know what they're doing. Now for herbalists. Herbalists learn how to use herbs to alleviate various symptoms. And that is exactly what they do as menopause managers. They use herbs for individual symptoms. Menopause itself is irrelevant. Any reason for your symptoms is irrelevant. The only thing of interest for an herbalist is immediate symptoms, never future diseases. So herbalists do not study menopause, they study herbs. They have nothing to do with disease. They know nothing about curing disease. All they know how to do is give you herbs to alleviate symptoms